I believe that movement and mindfulness are two of the foundations of wellness. Thank you for letting me be a part of your wellness journey. Hello, I'm Kelly. I'm joined by my dog, Zoe. She will be demoing resting poses for you throughout class. Today we are going to be working a bit on opening up side bodies. We often think of our torso when we think of side bodies. We're definitely getting in there. We're also going to get into the outer hips as well because they're part of that long chain and they tend to be tight on a lot of us. If you have a pair of blocks, they will be helpful for your practice today. They are not required. You can do everything we're doing just without the blocks, but it'll just be a little bit nicer if you've got them. We'll leave them at the front and out of the way to start, and then a little ways in, I'll ask you to move them along to the middle of your mats. So if you're ready to get started, we will lie on our backs. We will come into bridge pose, so feet about hip width apart. Lying back, let's lie with our arms by our sides, palms face up. We'll take just a moment to arrive on our mats. So trying to set aside whatever we were doing before we joined this video. We'll drop our awareness into our bodies and just check in. How does your body feel in this moment? Give a little scan from head to toe. Do you feel tension stored anywhere? If you do, can you try to let that tension soften? Are there any areas that are asking you to be kind to them as you move through your practice today? Or are there any areas that are feeling especially good and lively and can't wait to get moving? And then we'll see if we can feel any internal processes going on in our bodies. Can you feel your heart beat? Can you feel your breath? Can you feel maybe any digestion going on depending on when you ate last? Or anything else that might be going on inside of you. And then we'll bring our awareness to our breath. First, just noticing how it's moving through your body. Is it short and shallow, or long and deep, or somewhere in between? And then noticing what parts of your body move when you inhale and when you exhale. And if you notice that you're breathing very shallowly and only your chest is moving, I invite you to work towards more expansion of your entire torso. So on every inhale, thinking about expanding through the stomach and then up through the ribs and the chest. On every exhale, feeling your entire torso sink back down. Again, inhaling fully to expand, stomach, ribs, chest. Exhaling slowly to soften. Let's take 2 more rounds of big, expansive inhales and slow releasing exhales. And from here, we'll start adding in a little bit of movement. So we'll start by crossing the right ankle over the left thigh. We'll take our right fingertips. We'll just gently press that right knee towards the front of the mat, a little length through the inner thigh. And then whenever I can in my classes, I like to add a little bit of activations that we're building functional range of motion, not just loose, floppy range of motion. And so with our fingers pressing, we're also going to press that leg into the fingers so we can feel that inner thigh light up just a little bit. We're not being aggressive here. It doesn't have to be, super hard push, just a little activation. All right, and then from here, keeping your figure four shape and that right hand on the right knee, we'll take the left hand, we'll pick up the left leg, we'll wrap that left hand behind the left thigh, gently drawing the thigh towards the chest as we still gently press that right knee straight forward, and then also pressing the knee into the hand, a little activation here. And then we'll take the right hand to the outside of that right knee, so sliding to the other side. We'll press the knee into the hand, hand into the knee. Now your outer hip is going to wake up a bit here. And then we'll thread that right hand between the two legs to meet the left hand behind the left thigh, and just gently encourage that left thigh a little closer towards the chest. And we're just getting started here, so we're not going for major stretching, just light stretching, light opening. All right, now from here, keeping the legs as they are, we're going to take our arms wide like a T, palms face down, and then we're going to drop the shape over to the left. And so your right foot is going to step down, your left leg is going to drop down. We can adjust this if this is too much on your body. You can slide the shape closer towards the front of your mat. If you're feeling nothing, you can slide it closer towards the left arm, and then maybe we'll take our gaze over the right shoulder. We'll pause here for a few rounds of breath. And then pressing into the left palm, we'll bring our shape back up to center. We'll gently drop left toes to the mat, and then we'll drop this leg shape over to the right ankle resting on left thigh. We can keep arms as they are, or if we would like to, we could slide our left palm up on the diagonal. So it's like you're making half of a Y in the YMCA dance move, that left arm reaching on the diagonal. So you've got a nice long line from left knee to left fingertips. And then from here, we'll plant into the right palm to bring the shape back to center. We'll plant the right foot, and then we'll take all of that second side. So left ankle will cross right thigh. Left fingertips gently press left knee towards the front of your mat. And then again, we'll add some activation. So the knee will press into the fingers as fingers press knee. Your inner upper leg will light up a little bit. And then we can take the right hand and we'll catch behind the right thigh, bringing the thigh closer towards the chest, and then left hand gently presses left knee towards the front of the mat. And then we'll press knee into the hand, a little more activation on that inner leg. And then we'll slide the left hand around to the outside of the left knee. We'll gently press knee into hand, a little activation of the outer hip. And then threading the left hand behind the leg, through the legs to catch behind the right leg, and gently drawing the shape closer to the chest if that feels good and appropriate in your body. And then from here, we'll slide our hands out wide like a T. Our figure four shape will drop over to the right. Left foot plants down, right leg drops down. Again, adjusting, sliding closer to the front of the mat, less stretch. Closer to your right hand, more of a stretch. And then gaze might look over the left shoulder. And then we'll press through the right palm to bring the shape back up to center. We'll drop right toes onto the mat, and then we'll drop our shape over to the left. And then again, options, arms could stay wide like a T, or we might take this right arm up on the diagonal, the half of our Y shape. And then we'll plant into the left hand to come back up to center. We'll plant the left foot on the mat, and then we'll extend both legs long. From here, we'll bring the right thigh up into the inside, the right foot up into the inside of the left thigh. So we're finding a reclined tree pose. And then we'll have arms straight up overhead. And then adding on, we'll pick the shoulders up, we'll slide them over to the right side of the mat. And then we'll catch left wrist with the right hand, gently encouraging left hand up and over. And then maybe we press a little bit more through the left foot. So opening up through left side body. And we'll bring our torso back to center. We'll slide the right foot out to lengthen the right leg, and then we'll bring the left foot in to the inside of the right thigh. We'll pick shoulders up, moving them over to the left. Left hand catching right wrist, gently drawing that arm up and over, and then we'll press through the right foot. And then sliding torso back to center, we'll slide the right foot in to meet the left. We'll pick the left knee up so the left foot can plant. And then we'll bring knees into the chest. We can roll a little, rock a little side to side, a little massage on the lower back. And then we'll catch behind the thighs. We'll rock front to back a couple times. And maybe we'll rock all the way forward into our tabletop position. And tabletop, let's move through a few rounds of cat and cow. So on your next inhale, we'll pull the chest forward, gaze lifts, tailbone lifts. On the exhale, pressing the ground away, back rounds, head hangs. Inhaling, pulling the chest forward to come to cow. Exhaling, pressing the ground away to go into cat. And take once more, coming to cow. And once more to cat. And then we'll find our neutral spine. From here, we're going to take our left foot and just kickstand it off to the left, so it might be just off of your mat. Then we're going to slide right foot back in line with left knee. Right fingers will reach straight up to the sky, and then we'll take right fingers up and over, and then maybe we point through the right toes. So we're reaching long with the fingers, reaching long with the toes. Lots of length through that right side body. And we'll replant to the right hand. We'll bring the right knee back, and we'll switch to second side. So kickstanding your right foot just off the edge of your mat. Left foot comes in line with the right knee. Left fingers open up to the sky, and then those left fingers will reach up and over. And maybe we point through the left toes. While we're here, we want to be actively pressing through the right shoulder so we're not just sinking on to that bottom arm. We've got a good, solid foundation in our pose. And then from here, planting the left palm, bringing the left knee back into a tabletop. We'll walk the hands one palm length in front, and we'll tuck our toes under. We'll push up and back for our first downward facing dog of the day. In our down dog, we could pedal out the legs, bending one knee and then the other. We could shake the head, yes or no, releasing any tension in the neck. Or we might pick up all 10 toes, spreading them as wide as we can, and then trying to put them back down on our mat, one toe at a time. And then from here, let's walk our hands back to meet our feet. Arriving at the back of the mat, we'll get a good bend in the knees. We can let torso rest on the thighs. Maybe we catch opposite elbows. We'll let our head hang heavy for a moment, swaying a little side to side. Releasing any tension we might have stored in the back and the neck. And then we'll plant through the feet, and on the next inhale, we'll reach fingers up to the sky as we come to standing. And we'll exhale our hands to heart center. Now, if we've got our blocks, we are going to grab them and just bring them in the middle of our mat. If we don't have blocks, that's okay. We're going to come into some side bends, and we're just going to use the block if we've got it. And if we don't have the block, we can just bring that hand to the hip, and it's the same thing, just not quite as cozy. So we'll arrive at the front of our mat in our mountain pose, finding length through the crown of the head, equal weights in all four corners of the feet. And then on our next inhale, we'll reach fingers up to the sky. On the exhale, we'll fold forward, back and around, head can hang. On the inhale, fingers press shins, back lifts halfway up. On the exhale, we'll step right foot back, lowering right knee down, runner's lunge. Inhaling, fingers up to the sky. Our first side stretch, exhaling, left hand to the block or the hip, right fingers reaching up and over. Inhaling, fingers back to the sky. Exhaling, hands framing front foot, stepping back, downward facing dog. We'll pause here, big full inhale. Long, slow exhale. And then next inhale, right heel will reach straight up to the sky. On the exhale, right foot stepping between the hands, left knee lowering down. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, right hand to the block or the hip, left fingers reaching up and over, side stretch. Inhaling, fingers back to the sky. Exhaling, hands framing front foot, back foot stepping forward, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling to refold. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. We'll pause here, big inhale. Long, slow exhale. Second side, inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling to fold forward. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, left foot steps back, left knee lowers down. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, right hand to your block or hip, left finger reaching up and over. Inhaling, fingers back to the sky. Exhaling, hands framing front foot, stepping back, downward facing dog. Big inhale here, pressing strongly through the hands. Slow exhale here, letting heel sink heavier towards your mat. And then inhaling, left heel straight up to the sky. Exhaling, left foot between the hands, right knee lowering down. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, left hand to your block, right fingers reaching up and over. Inhaling, fingers back to the sky. Exhaling, hands framing front foot, back foot stepping forward, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling to refold. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Pausing here, big inhale. Slow exhale, we'll add on. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling to fold forward. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, stepping back to plank. We'll pause here for the inhale. Next exhale, we can lower knees or we can lower straight down to the ground. We'll untuck toes, planting palms. We'll inhale, baby cobra. And then we'll exhale up and back, downward facing dog. We'll pause here, 3 big full rounds of breath. And then on the next inhale, the right heel will reach up to the sky. Exhaling, right foot between the hands, left knee lowering down. Inhaling, fingers to the sky. Exhaling, right hand to the block or the hip, left fingers reaching up and over. We're going to pause here for a few breaths to get into left side body a little bit more. We might also think about pressing through the left foot to get a little activation in that left leg. We might feel the left hip flexor light up a little bit more as well. And then next inhale, we'll reach fingers up to the sky. We got an orientation change now. We're going to take the left foot. We're going to swing it off the right side of our mat. So you're going to be facing the long end of your mat. We'll straighten that right leg. Right toes will also be facing the long end of the mat. From here, we'll inhale, fingers to the sky. We'll exhale, right hand to the thigh or the shin. Left fingers will reach up and over, gate pose. And we'll inhale, fingers back to the sky. We'll exhale, left fingers will plant, right fingers reaching long, similar to what we did from our tabletop. We'll reach through right toes. And then reaching through the fingers, coming back up. We'll bring hands to our hips. We'll slide a block out of the way if it's in your way like it's in mine. And then we'll kickstand our left toes in just a little bit. From here, we're going to slide our hips back to that heel and then walk our hands forward. So we're in a modified child's pose here. We've got the right leg long. So we might feel some opening in the inner right leg. Got a little groin stretch if we're tight there. Palms are stretching straight forward. Forehead is trying to rest down. If our head doesn't quite make it there, blocks or blanket would be fabulous here. We're trying to let our hips sink heavy. And then we'll lift the hips. We'll walk our hands back in so that they're in a tabletop-ish position, but we still have this right leg out to the side. We're gonna do a little bit of twisting here. On our next inhale, right fingers will reach up to the sky. On the exhale, right hand will thread behind the left forearm, reaching it to the left. Gaze will look over the left shoulder. And then inhaling, opening back up towards that right foot. Exhaling, threading the arm through, twisting to the left. Once more, we'll inhale to open up. And exhale to twist. And then from here, we'll swing that left foot back around. We'll walk our hands around so that we are facing the front of the mat again. And then we'll step back to downward facing dog. Let's take 3 big full rounds of breath here before second side. And from here, we'll inhale, left heel up to the sky. On the exhale, left foot steps between the hands, right knee lowers down. Inhaling, fingers up to the sky. Exhaling, left hand to the hip or the block, right fingers reaching up and over. Just like we did before, we'll pause here for a couple breaths. We might press through the right foot to get a little more into that right hip flexor. And then we'll bring left fingers back up to meet the right. We'll bring hands to the hips. We'll slide the right foot around so it's off the left side of the mat. We'll straighten through the left foot. All 10 toes are facing a long end, different ends, but long ends of your mat. And then we'll inhale, fingers to the sky. We'll exhale, left hand to the thigh or the shin, right fingers reaching up and over. Reaching through the right fingers, coming back up to center. Dropping right fingers down on the right of your hip. Left fingers reaching long, left toes reaching long. And reaching through the left fingers, coming back up to center. Bringing our hands to our hips, and we'll slide the hips back onto the heel. Fingers, palms stretching forward, forehead dropping down. Modified child's pose, getting a little length through the inner left thigh, as well as probably the back body, maybe a little stretch on the right hip. And then we'll lift our hips up as we walk the hands underneath the chest. So a little modified tabletop position. On our next inhale, we'll reach left fingers up to the sky. On the exhale, threading them behind the right forearm, looking over right shoulder. And inhaling, opening up, fingers to the sky. Exhaling to twist. Inhaling to open. Exhaling one last time to thread that arm. And then planting the left hand and then swinging the right foot around, walking around to frame that front foot. And we'll step the front foot back to meet the left, downward facing dog. Taking just a couple breaths here, we can pedal out the legs. And then we'll walk the feet forward to meet the hands, arriving in a forward fold. We're going to add on a little bit here, so let's bring big toes to touch. We can get a good bend in our knees so we have support and room to move. And then we're going to take the left foot, we're going to slide it behind the right heel so that it's now on the outside of the right foot. You can soften through the front right knee here. We'll think about lifting left outer hip up and back. If the floor feels far away, blocks could be your friend here as well. If the floor is accessible, you can just have the fingertips touching down, back dropping, head hanging. And then we'll slide the left foot back to its normal spot. And we'll switch sides, so the right foot will slide behind the left heel to the outside of the left foot. Front knee can soften. We'll lift the right outer hip up and back. Maybe we've got blocks here. Maybe fingers are on the mat. Torso is resting heavy. Head is hanging. And then we'll slide the right foot back to its normal spot. Let's pause for just a moment, normal forward fold. And then on our next inhale, we'll root down through the feet to come to standing, fingers reaching to the sky. And we'll exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to add on and modify that last series a little bit. So we'll find our mountain pose if we're not already there. And then we'll inhale, fingers to the sky. And exhaling, folding forward. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, stepping back to plank. And pausing here for the inhale. Lowering down on the exhale. Inhaling cobra, maybe bigger this time. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. Let's take 3 full rounds of breath in our down dog. And then on our next inhale, the right heel will reach up to the sky. On the exhale, right foot steps between the hands. This time, the left knee will stay lifted. And then we'll inhale, fingers up to the sky. You might soften the back knee a little bit. You might think about lifting hip flexors up to the sky as fingers are reaching. We'll take one last side stretch in this lunge shape. So right hand to the hip, left fingers reaching up and over. And then fingers will come back up to reach towards the sky. And then we're gonna bring the left hand to pat ourselves on the back. We've got options here. We can take the right fingers and just catch that elbow, encouraging it back. Or if we have the range of motion, we might bring the right fingers around to catch the left fingertips. If we're catching our fingertips, or in either way, our ribs have a tendency to want to splay out. We'll try to tuck them in here as well. And then we'll let the fingers go. We'll re-extend fingers to the sky. We're gonna come to standing on the front leg in half mountain pose. So left knee is gonna come in towards the chest. Hopefully it was more graceful than I just did that. And then we're gonna come in to tree pose. I'm gonna turn so that you can see. So we're gonna bring a left foot in to your right thigh, or maybe it's in the shin, or maybe the toes are on the ground. All of those are excellent options depending on where your body is at. And we'll bring our hands to heart center. We'll make sure we've got our balance here. And if we do, we'll reach fingers to the sky. And if we do, we'll add on a side stretch. We'll bring left hand to left thigh. Right fingers will reach up and over. We'll shift our balance a little bit. You'll feel your right foot adjusting underneath you to rebalance after a little weight shift. And then fingers back to the sky, trusting your right foot, that's gotcha. Left foot will come straight forward. And then we're gonna slide that left foot to come straight back to our crescent warrior. From here, hands will come to the hips. We'll step the back foot up, about a foot length. We'll swivel the left heel down 45 degrees and then straightening through the right knee. From here, we're gonna fold forward over the front leg. Blocks could be fabulous here. So we're working towards a straight front leg. We're tucking the right outer hip back instead of letting it slide forward and out. So it's tucking back. Right big toe is pressing down. I prefer this pose with a flat back, trying to find lots of length through the spine and the crown of the head. If you prefer folding forward and letting your back round, you are welcome to do that as well. From here, we'll soften through the front knee. We'll slide blocks out of the way if we were using them. We'll plant our palms. We'll step back to downward facing dog. Let's take 3 big full rounds of breath here. And then on the next inhale, we'll reach left heel straight up to the sky. On the exhale, left foot steps between the hands, right knee will stay lifted. We'll inhale, fingers up to the sky. We'll soften through the back knee. We'll lift our hip points a little bit here. Maybe gaze will look a little higher. And then our last side stretch in this general shape. Left hand comes to left hip. Right fingers reach up and over. Re-extend left fingers to the sky. Then we'll bring right hand to pat ourselves on the back. Left hand might come to encourage that right elbow up and over, or it might reach around to catch the right fingertips behind the back. Remember, we're trying to not have our ribs splay open if we can. Right arm is hugging right ear, right elbow reaching to the sky. And we'll release the fingers, reaching them back up to the sky. We're going to come to stand on the left foot, right knee hugging in towards the chest. And then finding our tree pose, right foot coming low on the shin, on the thigh, wherever feels good for you today. And then bringing hands to heart center. Finding our balance, reaching fingers to the sky, rebalancing. And then dropping right hand to right thigh, left fingers reaching up and over. Resting your left leg, wobbling, is recalibrating where it needs to be. And then fingers reaching back up to the sky. Right knee sliding straight forward, and then right foot will slide straight back. Crescent warrior. From here, back foot will step up, right heel will swivel down, hands will come to hips. We'll fold straight forward over the front leg. Again, maybe we want some blocks here. The left outer hip wants to slide forward to escape the stretch. We're not gonna let it. We're gonna slide that left outer hip back. Left big toe will ground down, crown of the head is reaching straight forward. Or as I said, if you would rather round in this pose, you are welcome to do so. And softening through the front leg, sliding blocks out of the way if we've got them. We're going to step the back foot to come to plank. Then we'll lower our knees down, mat width apart. Big toes will come to touch behind us. We're going to do a little bit of work in child's pose. If you don't have a block, no worries. If you do have a block, let's grab one block and put it on the flat setting. In our child's pose, if we've got the block, let's put our palms on top of the block and then let the head slide between the arms. If we don't have a block, no worries, palms are just on the ground. If we've got the block or we don't, either option, we're going to press our palms into whatever they're resting on. So we have a little bit of activation through the arms. This press might also let us slide our hips a little closer towards our heels. Tucking that tailbone a little more towards the ground so we can get a little more length through the lower back here. All right, we're going to add a little bit of side stretching. We've got our block. We're going to slide the block just off the edge of the mat. If we don't, we're going to pretend like we do. And we're going to bring the arms like they're on a block just off the side of the mat. And we'll drop the head between the arms again. We'll try to reach equally through left and right arms. So we're not just scrunching into right side body here. So I like the block. It encourages you to still reach that left arm forward towards the block. And then we'll come back to center and we'll move the block to the right side. So again, just off the edge of your mat. If you don't have a block, pretend like you do. And then bring the arms to the block or your imaginary block. Head drops between the arms. And then we'll come back to center We'll come up to tabletop. We'll tuck our toes under. We'll push up and back. Downward facing dog. We'll pause here, a couple rounds of breath. Maybe noticing if your down dog feels any differently after that side body opening. Maybe possibly we feel like we have a little extra motion through the shoulders here. And then from here, we can take an easy walk to the front of the mat. We'll arrive in a forward fold. Just as we did last time, we're going to add on a little bit, although differently this time. So legs are about hip width apart. We're going to bring the right fingers in front and between our two hands. And then we'll bend the right knee. Left knee will straighten. Left fingers will reach towards the sky. Gaze might look up towards the left thumb. It might be straight ahead. It might be down at the right hand. Whichever option feels best for you. And then dropping the left hand to where the right hand is, we'll switch sides. Left knee will bend, right knee is straight, right fingers will reach up to the sky. And then lowering right fingers, we'll drop into a regular forward fold. And then on the next inhale, pressing through the feet, we'll reach fingers up to the sky as we come to standing. And we'll exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to do one more round of standing poses. We're going to mix them up this time though, just to get a little bit of variety in. Also, when we're ready, we'll inhale, fingers to the sky. And we'll exhale to fold forward. Inhaling, halfway lift, flat back. Exhaling back to plank. Pausing here for the inhale. Lowering down on the exhale. Inhaling cobra or maybe upward facing dog. And exhaling back and downward facing dog. We'll take 3 big full rounds of breath here. And then on the next inhale, right heel will reach up to the sky. On the exhale, right foot steps between the hands, left heel swivels down. We'll inhale up, warrior 2 this time. Right heel in line with left arch. Right thigh moving towards parallel someday, maybe today, maybe not, doesn't matter. And we'll flip the right palm. On our next inhale, we'll reach right palm up and over, reverse warrior. On the exhale, returning to warrior 2. Inhaling to reverse. Exhaling back. Inhaling once more up and over. And once more back. And then we'll straighten through the front leg. We'll swivel all 10 toes towards the long end of the mat. Hands can come towards our hips. We'll heel toe the feet in about once or twice. We're in kind of a wide sumo stance. We'll bend the knees. We'll bring hands to the thighs. We'll press right thigh away as we drop right shoulder in towards the center, horse pose. And then coming back to center, we'll drop left shoulder in, left hand presses the left thigh. And coming back to center, and we'll straighten through the knees, fingers will reach along, starfish pose, one of my favorite poses. We're gonna inhale to reach as wide as our body goes. On the exhale, bending the knees, right hand to right thigh, left fingers reaching up and over. Inhaling starfish. Exhaling second side, left hand to left thigh, right fingers up and over. We'll go each way once more, inhaling to reach. Exhaling, leaning over to your right. Inhaling to extend. Exhaling second side. Inhaling once more to extend, and then swiveling around, framing that front foot, stepping back, downward facing dog. 3 big full rounds of breath here. On the next inhale, left heel will reach to the sky. On the exhale, left foot steps between the hands, right heel swivels down, warrior 2. Coming up on the inhale. Checking in, do we arrive well? Left heel aligned with the arch, right thigh trying to sink down. We'll try to keep this side exactly as it is as we add the same arm movements as the first side. So we'll flip left palm. On the inhale, reaching up and over. Exhaling back, warrior 2. Inhaling to reverse. Exhaling, warrior 2. Once more, reversing. Once more, warrior 2-ing. And then straightening the front knee, swiveling toes towards the long end of the mat. Bending our knees, hands to the thighs. Right shoulder drops in. And center. And left shoulder drops in. And center. And then finding our starfish pose. Inhaling here. Exhaling, right hand to the thigh, knees bend, left fingers reaching up and over. Inhaling to extend to star. Exhaling, second side, side stretch. And extending. And side stretching. And extending. And last side stretch. And extending once more for good measure. And then swiveling around to face the front of the mat. And let's step the right foot up to meet the left. We'll arrive in a forward fold. One last little add on here. Let's take our feet as wide as our mat, and then we'll drop our hips down to the heels. A little yogi squat here. In our yogi squat, there's a tendency to be up on the toes. We want to sink back onto the heels if we can. There's a tendency to be kind of rounded here. You want to have a tall chest. You can press elbows into knees, knees into elbows. That will help open up through the front so you've got space for that chest to come through. Breathing here. If we need some support, we can slide a block under the hips. It can be very helpful. And then we'll drop our fingertips. We'll drop them behind us as we're going to come to seated. Once we've arrived in our seat, we are going to come into fire log. We do have some options depending on your body. So we're all going to start with the right leg down first. Left leg has 2 options. It can come in front or it can come stacked on top. If when we try to stack it, it ends up all sorts of twisted and mangled, the left foot here is not a great spot for your foot. If your foot looks like this, slide it in front. If your leg stacks like a pair of fire logs, cool, stack them. If we've stacked them and this feels like enough, or maybe it's kind of high, we might just let gravity work on that high knee. We might also slide a block in there to give it some support. If it's stacked well and we feel like we've got some room to move, we can inhale our fingers to the sky and then exhale to fold forward over the front leg. Our head is heavy. If you've got blocks that you can use to support the head, your body might appreciate that. So maybe one block isn't enough. That's okay. Maybe we have a little block construction project and we can stack them. And that could be great. Find what feels best in your body today, which might be different than how it felt yesterday or it will feel tomorrow. And that's okay. And then we'll plant through the hands to come back up. We'll have hands by our sides. And we can either slide the leg off if it's just too much, or we're gonna add a little bit here, a little side stretching and twisting as well. So if you still feel good stacked, stay stacked. From here, left hand will stay where it is. Right fingers are going to reach up and over. You can soften through the left elbow. We'll press a little through left fingertips. Making sure chest is staying spinning towards the shins. It's not collapsing forward here. And then we'll reach fingers back up to the sky. We're gonna come into a twist. The right hand will plant behind us. The left hand will come either to your right knee or your left foot. The crown of the head's reaching towards the sky. Gaze might look over the right shoulder. And then coming back to center, we'll take both legs, just take them forward. They've been bent for a bit. Give them a little rock side to side. And then we'll reverse. So left leg comes in first. Right leg options either in front or stacked on top. Remember, we're going to be kind to that right leg. If it needs to come in front, that's completely okay. And then again, if this leg is stacked well but still pretty high and we just want to wait and let gravity work on it, we can stay upright here. If we have room to move, or if we had the leg in front of us, then we'll inhale our fingers to the sky. And we'll exhale to fold forward. And if we supported the head on the first side, we might grab our blocks if we've moved them like I did and re-support the head. It's very possible your head support will be different on this side than it was on the first side. That's okay. Our hips tend to hold a lot of tension, which means they can have a lot of asymmetry in them as well. My left hip is always tighter than my right. And it just is what it is. It's okay. We'll walk hands in to come out. And then again, if our hips are feeling like they need a little break and we have legs stacked, we can take the top leg in front. If not, they can stay exactly as they are. From here, right hand will stay where it is. Left fingers will reach up and over. We'll soften through right elbow. We'll press through that palm to keep chest spinning towards the shins. And left fingers reach up and over. And then we'll reach fingers up to the sky. We'll open up for a twist. Left fingers will plant behind us. Right hand will come to right foot or left knee. Crown of the head is reaching tall. And we will unravel, and then we're going to come to lie on our backs. We're going to come into one last side stretch before Shavasana. This is my favorite. It is a Banana Asana. It's a very traditional, ancient name for the pose. So you can start just in Shavasana, and then you can set up from here. So we'll take both feet over to the right side of the mat. Left ankle will cross on top of right ankle. And we'll pick our shoulders up. We'll slide them over to right side of the mat. Hips have stayed in the center. Reaching arms overhead. Your right hand will catch your left wrist, gently encouraging it over, maybe even over off the right side of your mat. And then we'll settle in here for a few rounds of breath, breathing deeply into left side body. Sliding shoulders back to center, uncrossing your legs, bring them back to center. And then we'll switch sides, so both legs moving towards the left side of your mat. Right ankle crossing on top of left. Picking up your shoulders, sliding them over to the left, and then reversing the catch. So left hand catches right wrist, encouraging right hand up and over. And then letting your body settle in here. Breathing deeply into right side body. One last opportunity to expand on the side. And we'll bring shoulders back to center. We'll uncross our legs. We'll make our way in to Shavasana. So getting your feet at least hip width apart if they didn't already arrive there. Bringing the arms back down by our sides. And we might tuck one shoulder blade under and then the other. We might tuck our chin in. And then I really love when I settle into Shavasana to do a little touch point meditation before I really settle. So I will guide us through that here. So first, I would like you to bring your attention to the weight of your skull against your mat. And then we'll notice the weight of our shoulders and rib cage against the mat. And then all along the right arm and right hand. And then left arm and left hand. And then noticing the weight of your hips sinking down. And then the back of the right leg and right foot. And then left leg and left foot. And then we'll bring all of our points of contact with the ground into our awareness, feeling our body fully supported in this moment. And then we'll let that go. We'll spend our last couple of minutes here just breathing. And you do have the option, of course, to stay in Shavasana. But if you're ready to move on to other things, we might start wiggling fingers and toes, or rolling wrists especially in ankles. Maybe deepening the breath to expand the torso a bit more. Maybe reaching arms overhead for a nice long bodied stretch. And then when you're ready, you can make your way onto your favorite side. There you could rest your head on your arm, maybe pausing for a breath or two here. And then stretching that top leg long, gently making your way back up to a comfortable seated position. Once we have arrived in our seat, we can rest hands in our laps. If it's comfortable, we'll close our eyes. We'll take one last moment to check in, dropping your awareness into your body, noticing how it feels to be you on your mat in this moment. And we'll bring our awareness to our breath, perhaps taking one last big expansive inhale. And long, slow exhale. And we'll bring our hands to heart center. We'll take a moment to thank ourselves for doing something kind for our minds and our bodies. Zoe and I thank you for sharing your practice with us today. Namaste.